Yeah, when folks, we first sat down and had a conversation about being the NEAFL coach, we had a long conversation about the positives, and for my development as a coach, we felt that that would be something going forward. In terms of the playing group, we knew that there was some exciting players that had come in, and it was a fantastic opportunity to be able to take the footy club forward after a disappointing year the year before. And we felt like there was a good opportunity with the players that had come in to be able to make some real grounds. And the introduction of our 19-year-olds certainly was going to help that process, which we didn't have the year before. And we felt like if we could keep our injury rate down, then we could certainly have some more listed players play each week, which would make us really healthy. So the opportunity to be able to take on that and then to be able to manage people around was something that I certainly wanted to take on the challenge. For us as a NEAFL team, we're a massive part of the senior team. We wanted to really make sure that our spirit and effort and our attitude was right. So we really honed in on those three focuses, and we took a lot from the team that we played in the final, and the Sydney Swans, who have been fantastic at that since they've entered the NEAFL competition. I think they have a winning record of 79%. So we tried to build off some of their stuff and make it into our own.
The handle on it, Ruben William gives the ball to Lyon. Lyon has a shot at goal. And the Brisbane Lions have won the top of the table NEAFL clash. The Sydney Swans have only lost 2 games this year, both of them to the Brisbane Lions.
I don't think we looked at the 10 in a row. I think we just took it week by week, which is our process, and we certainly tried to just make sure that we followed our process. And I suppose when you look up and take a breath and you say, and people start writing articles, Brisbane have won 10 in a row, you don't actually realise it till then. So it was more for us making sure that we continued to follow our process week in, week out, and we knew that the results would take care of themselves. Confidence is really important, and I feel like we gathered that in our first game. We got moved to Sydney really late because of the weather conditions in Brisbane, and it was a big ask to go up to play against Sydney, who were a grand finalist the year before. To go up there and play them in Blacktown in our first game of the year and to get a win there, I believe the players got a lot of confidence from that, and the group really got energised from that, and that experience really led into then going to Darwin in round 2, where we had never won, to be able to beat them. So along the way, which we spoke about just before, those 10 wins in a row, we'd achieved a lot of things that we hadn't achieved before, and players realise and understand that, and we touched on some of those things throughout the process. Having a different captain each week was a group decision from our coaching staff. We felt like with the group that we had, especially a young team and a young list, that giving guys the opportunity to be a leader each week certainly would help their development within footy, and we're really happy that we were able to do that. And it's interesting looking back now and you see which guys captain in which weeks and how they really stood up and took the opportunity to captain the team. I think the process of that really worked, and the guys enjoyed it. And actually for our final selection in the grand final, the players picked the captain. We gave them the choice, so each player wrote on a piece of paper who they felt was the captain. It was their team, our team, so we gave them the opportunity, and Clay Beams won that vote narrowly over Matty Eagles. So the guys really felt like they had buy-in within that each week as well. As a senior coach, absolutely, our job is to make sure that our players are playing senior football and giving them the best opportunity. And we spoke about that every week, about we're here as a platform to get you to play senior football. And sometimes it was hard for players, especially early on. There were some players in there, and Josh Walker and Ryan Bastanak, who hadn't spent a lot of time at NEAFL level, and they really bought into the program. And you could see that when they went back up into the seniors, they didn't come back. And early on we had Jared Berry and Hugh McCluggage play the first game, and then we didn't see them again, which is fantastic. What our players were able to understand is that not 48 players can fit into 22 each week, so some have to play with us, and if they come back with the right attitude and they play their role and they have good spirit, then it gives them every opportunity, and it makes the decisions of the coaches or the match committee, I suppose, have tougher decisions to then make. Yeah, Alan Christensen was fantastic for us since he got injured. Obviously the year didn't go the way that he wanted to plan in terms of his on-field development, but his off-field development this year has been second to none. It will certainly help him next year. He helped us as a coaching group to be able to provide a link between the coaches and the players, and he was able to control that really well. I think he did a variety of roles. He ran sometimes he did the rotation. So he worked a whole range of different things. He was really an ear for the players on game day that come off that may have been a little bit frustrated to then hear from him rather than a coach and being a different voice was a really strong contribution to the way that we performed throughout the year and how we handled it. And I think it was fantastic that we were able to get him. Hopefully next year we don't have that same situation, but we know that that's something that will work, and if something like that happens to our senior player, touch wood that it doesn't, we know that we can certainly enhance and help their off-field development going forward. Yeah, the environment, I suppose, that was created at the grand final berth, there was, I think, round 23 we had to win against GWS to finish second, otherwise Sydney Uni could have overtaken us. And then in our first prelim final, obviously we got the Gabba, which was a fantastic experience for our players to be able to play out on the Gabba in a final in front of our supporters and our fans, and our coaching group was amazing, and the way that we started that game really set us up. So that was pleasing. And then the excitement of then going into a grand final, there was a lot of challenges along the way, which is the great thing that this group has been able to overcome. Every time we've had a challenge, we've been able to face it, put it out, what's the challenges, be really open with it, and then move through it. So, you know, our senior team had finished and we had our best and fairest, and we had our prelim, and you know, we lost Matty Hellman on our Thursday night in the last training session before going into the grand final. So there was a lot of challenges there, and the Swans had been in fantastic form, but the feeling that the playing group had and the coaching group had, we really drove on that. And I think sometimes it doesn't matter what you have, if you've got that feeling amongst the group and the players, that you can really become an unstoppable force. And we really drove off that vibe and the feeling that we had as a group, and it just carried us on the whole way. Yeah, Matty Hellman was, it was a real disappointment for him to miss out. We had the Thursday night training session and he was doing some run-throughs warming up and felt his hamstring, and he tried to push through and get it right, and it was still there. And we all know that going into a grand final, you can't really take players in that are not 100% fit. And we gave him every opportunity. I mean, he kicked 40 goals for us throughout the year, was our leading goal kicker. So he'd had a fantastic year and was a huge contributor the week before against Sydney Uni. So the emotional part of it is a really interesting question. I think sometimes you can't dwell on it. And as I keep going back to it, the group had a real feeling and a real vibe. I mean, we had some players that missed out the week before because we could only play 16 players. So we openly spoke about that. So Blake Brewer, Keane Hanley, Jacob Ellison, Connor Balladin, one of our development players, all missed out the week before because we could only play 16 listed players. So they missed out, which I think, again, we ended up coming back to that vibe and that feeling about it didn't matter who was in our team. It was as long as you come into that team and you create a good spirit, good effort, good attitude, and a real team ethos, then it didn't matter who the personnel was. And as hard as it was for Matty, he came along on the trip and was certainly a value contributor there to be around the boys. So
2017 NEAFL Grand Final underway here at the SCG.
Yeah, so the Swans, obviously, their senior team had played and had a fantastic win, as you spoke about, and their playing group hung around for their players, and it was good to see a couple of our players and a lot of our supporters travel up. But the feeling amongst our group, and it's something that I'm not sure the reason why, but there was a great feeling and a great vibe. I think it may have been the environment that we created from day one, the positivity and the feeling that we had amongst the group. It didn't matter. We concentrated on what we could control, and we always went back to what our process looked like, and we said, okay, what can we control? And we can control this in our process. And the game started out a really tough contest, as all grand finals do. And you know, we thought that, you know, quarter time we were in the game, half time we were in the game, 3/4 time we pushed out to a 20-point lead, and we thought, like, you know, we know that the Swans are going to come because they're a great team. But for us to be able to hold on in what was truly a hold-on position in the last quarter, 21 inside 50s to 8, it was an amazing achievement. We spoke about playing every second and every minute of that game, which the Swans also did. So to be able to do that and then to come away with a win, especially a 3-point win, is certainly a massive achievement to the group of boys that were out on the field.
And there it is! The Brisbane Lions are premiers! NEAFL 2017.
We'll keep the winning strong.
the team song was amazing. I missed the first part of the team song. I think it was great because we had a lot of families that were there. Chris Fagan said, let's get all the families into the room, which was a fantastic idea. We are a real family club and we're really big on that, and we have to be that. So it was everyone get in there. So amongst the crowd, I was trying to get in as quick as I could, but the boys had started. But the energy the boys had in the song was probably the best it had been all year, and we had had some big wins throughout the year. But the energy of that song, I think it was a relief and just I suppose a fury of enjoyment that all their hard work and certainly paid off. And for their families, some of the guys' mums and parents to be able to be there, it was such a special moment. Yeah, I'm not sure in terms of if it's made a statement or not. I think it's been a fantastic part for our club to be able to win that and to show the footy world that we're heading in the right direction. And it wasn't just us, it was the women's who started that they were able to play in a grand final and they put us on the landscape again, and then bringing in Chris and David Noble, the work that they've done along with all the other coaches has been fantastic all year. And then for our senior team to be able to make improvements and little wins across the whole year, and then for us as a NEAFL team to actually come away with a victory, I think it was a little bit of the icing on the cake. So fantastic that we were able to get it, and we'll be certainly using that momentum to be able to go forward. Now our opportunity is to be able to continue to grow that as a whole footy club.